Hey, folks. Welcome to the Basement Show podcast. Short. That's right, baby. That's right. Let's hit them off, T. What do we got today?
Oh, boy, Ryan.
Oh,
boy.
Yeah.
So there's a new thing. We're going to call it rivalries.
Rivalries
All right?
versus...
Yes. Stepping into the arena today.
Bing, bing.
Exactly. We have...
Who do we have?
Elizabeth I versus Mary, Queen of Scots.
Scotland.
Oh, they got down and dirty.
Yeah, they did.
They
Cage
did.
match.
Few feuds, try saying that
Few
fast,
feuds.
are as epic as the rivalry between Elizabeth I and Mary, Queen of Scots. The two cousins are undeniably some of the most influential figures in royal history, with their rivalry becoming even more legendary than their accomplishments. Mary, of course, was known as Bloody Mary.
That's right. And they make everyone's Sunday mornings so complete.
You say her name 3 times in the mirror.
Yeah.
The rivalry between the queens lasted decades, with verbal blows being hit from both sides, and would only end with Queen Mary's death.
Oh.
Mary was the only surviving child of her father, King James V, and his wife, Mary of Guise, and as a result was destined to be the queen from her very first birth.
Give me the throne.
I have destiny!
I am destiny, Hawes.
James died when Mary was a few days old and was raised in the belief that she was the only rightful heir to the British throne. She was constantly moved around Scotland in her first few years of life in efforts to keep her safe due to warring clans in the Highlands. At the age of 6, she went to France to become the fiancée of the Dauphin, and for the following 13 years would become a worshipped figure in France. She should have stayed there.
La France.
Baguettes.
Yeah, sacré bleu.
The queen had undeniable self-confidence and at a towering 1.8 meters tall. I have no idea how tall that is.
Yeah, I don't either. Sounds short.
We refuse to convert to the metrics.
That's right. No metrics for us today.
She was a formidable figure physically and mentally. Her solidified status as a queen often meant she was put above the French king's own daughters.
Wow.
And her grandmother writing, "It's impossible for her to be more honored than she is." Wow.
I'd love that. I'd love our show to be like that. The Basement Show podcast is more honored.
It's impossible for it to be more honored than it is.
Yeah, that's us.
Mary's childhood was luxurious, filled with servants, tutors, and surrounded by cousins and pets, while her cousin Elizabeth had a far less lavish upbringing. Elizabeth was the daughter of King Henry VIII and his second wife, Anne Boleyn, born into a moment of royal history already fraught with scandal and tension. Her mother had garnered few supporters, and in bedding the king earned many rivals and adversaries who would transfer their contempt for the queen onto her daughter. Elizabeth was only 3 when her mother was executed and was shunned from the king's view, being declared an illegitimate child.
Oh, bastard!
You don't count! As a result, her childhood was almost the polar opposite of Mary's, although she managed to develop a clutch of supporters and servants that remained loyal to the young princess. Elizabeth's intellect was praised by what tutors she did have. Occasionally, Elizabeth would appear in court, impressing her estranged father with her intellect and creating a relationship with her then stepmother, Catherine Howard. It is believed that Howard's execution is what prompted Elizabeth to vow against marriage, which she would stay loyal to until her death.
Wow, she liked to get around instead. That's okay, too. You want to play the field? All right. Cool. Get your queen on.
Get your queen on. Excuse me. Historians have noted that Elizabeth and Mary's rivalry may have spawned in childhood, as the two could not have received a more different upbringing. When King Henry died, Elizabeth was 3rd in the line of succession for the unlikely situation that both her siblings, Edward VI and Mary I, which coincidentally is exactly what happened. Elizabeth inherited a fractured England, as the country's Catholic strangleholds much favored Mary to be their queen, all of which Elizabeth was keenly aware of because Henry VIII brought in Protestantism so he could get divorced.
That's right. I'm going to switch up these religions so I can get a divorce.
We're all Protestant now.
That's right. And single. So here we go.
Mary was the granddaughter of Henry VIII's older sister and therefore was viewed as the rightful heir due to Elizabeth's declared illegitimacy.
That's right. Your bastardness.
This sparked the pair's power struggle, and as complete polar opposites of each other, the cousins' feud would be lifelong. Not surprising for two powerful and stubborn rulers, the relationship between Elizabeth and Mary I of Scotland was a fiery one, starting with letters charged with passive-aggressive language and ending with words stripped of all pretense, with the two women plainly stating the deep betrayal they endured at the other's hands. I like how, eventually they would just, let's stop the pretentiousness. I hate you.
Right, exactly. Imagine how long it took to get that scroll from one end to the other. Be like, yeah, this is 6 months old, but I just want to let you know I hate you. All right, Squire.
Send my scribes.
That's right, back on the horse.
Mary had been imprisoned by the Scottish lords, who forced her to abdicate. But when she broke free, she fled to the safety of England, where she could take comfort in her cousin's aid. Oh, you think so? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for Mary, the aid was not forthcoming.
That's right. What up, cuz? Get out.
Upon arriving in England, she wrote to Elizabeth asking her to bring her to the court, but Elizabeth did not send for Mary, nor did she send her any help. Mary repeatedly wrote to Elizabeth and even sent her hand-sewn gifts, but Elizabeth continued to keep Mary at a distance. She feared that now Mary was in England, it would be easier for her to rally support of the English Catholics who wished to overthrow Elizabeth. None of Mary's words or appeals to her cousin worked, and she remained imprisoned for 19 years on Elizabeth's orders until her cousin would sign off on her execution.
If I lose my temper, you lose your head. Understand?
During Mary's imprisonment, Catholic earls in England organized an uprising against Elizabeth, demanding the freedom to worship and attempting to place Mary on the throne. This was one of the many efforts to usurp the queen and have Mary rule in her stead. I love that word, usurp.
Usurp me?
You just can't use it very often.
Right.
I've been usurped!
Yes!
Although each plot was stopped, it was the final one, the Babington plot, which sought to assassinate Elizabeth, that led to Mary's end. Elizabeth's spymaster managed to intercept a letter.
I want to be a spy
I
master.
would love to be a spymaster. In which Mary explicitly endorsed the Babington plot. It was this damning evidence which prompted Elizabeth to try her cousin and eventually have her beheaded.
That's right.
Mary was accused of treason in 1587 and found herself on the execution block with Elizabeth's signature on her death warrant. The execution itself has been widely popularized, with reports saying the executioner took 3 strikes to sever her head, which he then held up, shouting, "God save the Queen."
Wow.
While many saw this as Elizabeth coming out of the fray victorious over her cousin, it would be her vow against marriage that became her downfall. Not ever being married also meant Elizabeth never produced an heir for the throne. And upon her death, Mary's son James VI of Scotland would take the throne, becoming the first to rule a united British kingdom.
Cool.
Although Elizabeth was no longer plagued by the threat of Mary trying to steal her throne, their rivalry had a lasting impact on her. It is said she began to see Mary's ghost on her deathbed. According to her cousin and courtier, Sir Robert Carey, in her final days, Elizabeth shed many tears and sighs, manifesting her innocence that she never gave consent to the death of the Queen. So that's the Cliff Note version on a very famous rivalry between Elizabeth and Mary.
That's amazing.
Be sure to ring the bell.
Yeah.
To get the executioner's attention, and like, share, and subscribe. What's going to happen next week, Ryan?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you do.
Full episode, baby.
Full episode next week.
That's right. That's right. Stay tuned, okay? And stay away from these two.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah. You get yourself killed. Yeah. Love you. Yes. Yes.